Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we talk about the latest news, information and analysis on what's really going on in Russia and the BRICS. Now, my name is Rod Mackenzie, and today I want to talk about the plenary session with Vladimir Putin at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, or SPIEF as it's known. Now, it's lasted on plenary session on June 20th, lasted for over 4 hours and covered both domestic economic as well as international issues. Now, the Russian president's announced a major transformation, in his opinion, of the global market, with the BRICS assuming a greater and increasingly prominent role on the world stage and the G7's share declining year on year. Now, the situation in Russia is also improving, with inflation developments outperforming the expectations. Now, in this context, Vladimir Putin identifies 5 key areas for the development of the Russian economy, ranging from enhancing labour productivity to establishing a new investment climate of quality rather than quantity. Now, the countries participating in SPIEF have expressed a particular interest in that latter topic. Now, other topics they discussed obviously included things like the Middle East and the Ukrainian crisis. But the Russian president's words expressed concern about the possibility of the world sliding into a third world war. He also commented on the reasons why the president of Indonesia, which recently joined BRICS, did not attend the G7 summit but visited the St. Petersburg International Forum instead. Now, who else participated in the plenary session with Vladimir Putin? Well, the central event is obviously the plenary session, and as customary, the Russian leader established the country's economic and development agenda as a matter of particular significance. Now, in the context of the prevailing international circumstances, this was going to be an interesting one, and the theme of the session was common values, the basis for growth in a multipolar world. Now, the whole session lasted for over 4 hours, breaking the record for the length of such discussions over the past few years. Now, along with Vladimir Putin, the discussion and round table was basically followed, various people were there. There was the president of Indonesia, Mr. Joko Widodo, the National Security Advisor of the King of Bahrain, Mr. Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Vice President of South Africa, Mr. Paul Mashatil, and the Deputy Premier of the State Council of India, Mr. Deng Xijing. Excuse me. Vladimir Putin also held individual meetings with those and other guests at SPIEF. Now, as is customary, the name of the moderator of the plenary session was kept a secret, but then it turned out that the moderator was Nadim Koteich, who's a journalist from the United Arab Emirates and the CEO of Sky News Arabia TV channel. Last year, he participated in a meeting between the Russian president and representatives of the BRICS media. Now, before I continue, I would like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, SCOBRICSinsight.com, and contribute to its further development. Now, you can do this by making a small donation, which you can do by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom right hand side of the screen. Sometimes it's hidden behind 3 dots, so if you click on that, you'll see a sub-menu, and it's thanks is in that menu. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you now. Also, keep the comments coming. Love to read them. Love to respond to them. Now, Putin's opening speech was of particular interest as it lasted almost an hour. Now, during this time, the head of state defined the development guidelines for the Russian domestic economy, and he named the main trends of change, and he assessed the situation as he saw it on the world stage. Now, he said the global economy is currently experiencing one of the most significant transformations that it's had in recent decades. The world community is seeing an increase in the potential of some of their countries with a consistent shift in global power dynamics and the economic landscape of the planet. While at the beginning of the 21st century, the BRICS countries, for example, constituted only 20% of the global economy. Now they account for over 40% of it. And it's evident that this share of the BRICS is going to expand significantly, particularly as BRICS expands significantly. Now, the mutual trade turnover of BRICS members has already exceeded $1 trillion, and that figure will continue to grow, whereas the G7 share in the global economy is gradually declining, while the BRICS countries is obviously increasing. Now, incidentally, the President of Indonesia has chosen a public explanation for his absence from the G7 summit in Canada, which he had been invited to. He said, "I was asked to provide a rationale for my absence from the G7 meeting, but the reasons for my appearance were at SPIEF is, although I have a great respect for the G7, I wanted to take this opportunity to demonstrate my commitment to BRICS, to Russia, and to this forum." Now, Subianto clarified that he previously did say he would attend the G7, having received the invitation, but he felt it was more important to come to St. Petersburg, where actual real decisions would be made. Now, it's worth noting that all the participants in the meeting noticed Russia's sincere desire to strengthen international economic dialogue. Prince Nasser bin Ahmad Al Khalifa of Bahrain believes that Russia's economic policy in various sectors, including energy and agriculture, has had a positive impact on the global stage. Now, the representative of South Africa expressed a similar viewpoint. And he says that SPIEF continues to serve as a distinguished platform for global dialogue on economic cooperation, investment and innovation. He said, Russia has long played a strategic role in the global economy, not only as the largest producer of energy resources, but a key player in food security, industrial and technological development. Plus the introduction of innovations through the development of science, as the Vice President of South Africa, Paul Mashatile, said. Now, China also underscored, he said, the current systematic restoration between contacts of Russia and the United States he feels is beneficial for the entire world. It will have a stabilizing effect in the international situation and will possibly help restore balance to the global economy. Now, Vladimir Putin has identified key areas, 5 of them, for the domestic economy that he thinks require particular attention in the near future. Firstly is an increase in the well-being of citizens through the transition of an economy of high wages based on an increase in labour productivity. Secondly, the creation of a new quality of investment climate, as in quality, not quantity. Now, the third structural change, as outlined by Putin, was an increase in the technological effectiveness of the domestic economy in all its spheres. In addition to other areas, there's been a notable development in the quality of foreign trade in terms of both exports and imports, and it's imperative that efforts are made to increase the level of non-oil and gas and resource exports. Now, Putin also identified the enhancement of the nation's sovereignty as its 5th priority. Currently, Russia is seeking private investment, including from foreign sources within the BRICS, and Moscow is committed to creating a favourable environment for foreign investors. Now, in a recent development, Indonesia's President, Mr. Subianto, has highlighted that Indonesia is receptive to business opportunities and is extending an invitation to Russian companies to expand into the Indonesian market. He said, I'm pleased to inform you that we've already made quite a number of agreements with other countries within the BRICS. Now, Putin also announced the plans of Russia in conjunction with Bahrain to establish a hub for the export of Russian wheat to the Middle East and South Asia. He also announced that Russia and South Africa had agreed on the import of Russian vodka. Yeah. Now, South Africans have got a bit of a taste for it, I understand. He said, my South African colleague has informed me that the supply of Russian vodka to South Africa has already been well established, and it's seen as a positive and significant step. So we asked, what are the reasons for this? I mean, he said it should be noted that the consumption of vodka should be accompanied by the need to consume a meal. Consequently, this will undoubtedly be followed by a supply of meat or other particular food products, particularly possibly Russian fish. Now, the development of international trade arteries passing through the country is facilitated by a new modern technological base. Putin's address covered the establishment of a national digital transport and logistics platform. This will digitize the entire circuit of Russia, including road, rail, air, river and sea traffic. Now, the State Information System for Transport and Economic Balance is called GISLOG. This will be combined with several other services to give a complete balance. He says, today we're working on the creation of intelligent checkpoints along the state border, and the formation of a national digital logistics platform is now underway, announced the Russian Transport Minister Roman Starovoyt. So overall, the Russian economy is managing the challenges of the shock and awe sanctions, etc., very, very well. I mean, these sanctions have actually cost Russia very little and resulted in over 500 billion of losses for the EU. And Russia is currently in fourth place in terms of GDP by purchasing power parity. And plus the growth of oil and gas GDP in Russia was 7.2% in 2023, and in 2024 it was 4.9%. Putin also noted that the Russian economy is no longer solely reliant on raw materials, and anybody says that is obviously not very well informed. Now, he also announced that the primary objective for the forthcoming year is the transition of the economy to a balanced growth trajectory characterised by moderate inflation and low unemployment. Concurrently, the situation with rising prices is developing better than the forecasts of analysts and the central bank. So this has made it possible to start the careful easing of monetary policy. And as of 16th of June, inflation in Russia stood at 9.6%. While this remains substantial, inflation targeting remains in place and it is coming down. Now, with regard to the issue of unemployment, the President highlighted that over the past 4 years, the number of people employed in Russia has increased by 2.4 million, with the current unemployment rate standing at 2.3%, which is a historic low. Plus, Russia is among the top countries in terms of the low level of youth unemployment, with a rate of 7.5%. For comparison, in the UK, this figure is 17%, and in France, it's 11 and 12%. Now, at the end of last year, the poverty rate reached a historic low of 7.2%, whereas in the 2000s, 43 million people were said to be living below the poverty line, and that was around 30% of the population. So currently the figure stands at 10.5 million. And as Putin said, the objective is to reduce this figure as low as possible, and in a few years we expect it to be to 5%. Now, with regards to the situation in the Middle East, Putin has emphasised that the security of some countries should not be ensured at the expense of the security of others. Russia has already received a number of proposals on how to stop the hostilities that have begun in the Middle East, particularly between Israel and Iran. And he stated that the organisation of BRICS was not seeking to be a mediator, but offering ideas for consideration. Now, if these ideas were found to be agreeable by all parties, they hope it would bring about a positive outcome. He also did not preclude the possibility that the countries of the Global South could have an impact on the resolution of any conflict in the Middle East. Now, Russia continues to engage in diplomatic relations with both Israel and Iran. Putin also noted that almost 2 million immigrants from the former USSR and Russia are currently resident in Israel. So effectively, Israel is a Russian-speaking country, at least about 20% or 25% of it, and Russia is well aware of that. I mean, Russia's also historically cultivated strong ties with the Arab and Islamic worlds, fostering friendly and collaborative relations. So the Kremlin's position that is it supports Iran in its fight for its legitimate interests in the field of peaceful nuclear power development. And Russia is going to continue to work at the Bushehr nuclear power plant in Iran, as evidenced by the signing of the contract for the construction of 2 additional nuclear reactors. Now, the Russian president has also stated that he's raised the issue of ensuring the safety of the personnel at the plant with the leadership of Israel and the United States. We'll see if they take notice of that, of course. He said, I would like to state that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu concurred with this decision, and Donald Trump has also committed to supporting our legitimate demands for peaceful nuclear power. He went on to say that the conflict in the Middle East has led to an increase in the world oil prices. You see, the price is now over $75 per barrel, and that's up over $10 from the $65 it was, and it's kind of stabilised at the moment. He said this OPEC plus partners are monitoring the situation, but at this time a prompt response is not required. Now, despite the intricacies of the situation, Moscow maintains its stance on the resolution of the Middle East conflict within the auspices of the United Nations Security Council. The Russian Federation's head has emphasised that this initiative aligns with the interests of both Iran and Israel. So that was really what took place with Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg. It was an interesting session, and I think you've possibly been more enlightened now. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and also share with others who might enjoy my videos. And if you want to help out, click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. Thank you. See you all soon.